everyone. Welcome back to Mechanorn. I think this is going to be maybe the final before we get to the next season, which is sadly I have to say it's very barren on the mechs besides Sidonia, which I think is going to be covered by one of our writers. So, we don't want to take it from them if they're going to write about it. So, yeah, I think it's better off just to let that go and pick up Mechanorn a little bit later maybe in the summer, because there's an announcement for a very big announcement for me anyway, third season of Aquarion. And I'm
hmm
very, very, very hyped for that. I mean, I love Evol. And there's also, I think, a movie coming out with a crossover between season 1 and season 2, so,
Or like an
yeah.
OVA series or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to be with OVA or a movie or a series. I would love a series, but I would think to do two Aquarions in 1 year might be a little hard for them, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, you just heard Jero, so hey, what's up, Jero?
Hey, Fosh, how's it going?
Yep, and it's kind of, we wrapped up with a couple of shows, and Crossane won't be involved in this post because, or this recording because, Highway is going to take over that because he has some things to say on that. But yeah, I guess we're going to do aldnoah.zero and Gundam, Build Fighters, so I guess we'll start with aldnoah.
All right, so we have the last two episodes of aldnoah.zero. Let's talk about episode 23, The Unvanquished Sky of Prayer. And in this episode, we have a lot going on with Asylum. We start off with the fact that um, she's kind of separated herself from Slane right now. This is the big episode where she kind of opposes him, and she finds out through Edelrichio that there is someone else besides Klonkai and of course Inaho that she can trust is Mazurek, which we had seen that building up throughout the uh, duration of season 2 of aldnoah.zero.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting seeing her, seeing Asylum kind of, I guess would say maybe grow a backbone and
Mm-hmm.
step up to Slane. She was just like telling him like he's like return to the castle, and she's like no, I'm not going back there. I mean, obviously, it's like who would go back after learning what he wants to do? It's like, so I mean, it's kind of weird seeing the princess character kind of stand up to the guy that's usually imprisoning her and keeping her held back and all this. So I guess it's nice to see maybe some growth right there.
Mm-hmm.
She isn't gonna let someone else dictate what she's doing. But again, she's always been that kind of strong-willed character. When she's determined, she's
Mm-hmm.
gonna do what she's gotta do.
Yeah, so in that sense, it makes sense that even considering she had just woken up about 3 or 4 episodes prior, that
Hmm.
she could get back into that groove and kind of take the stand that she did.
Right, and that's nice. And yeah, Iterito was nice. She was, kind of. There's a weird moment when they actually do meet Mazarak, which is a little bit later, where I'm not gonna, credit this series for having, the worst artwork because it looks very nice. But at the moment, Ederito's face kind of, when
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to animate this emotional scene. I mean, it kind of was emotional, but it really kind of felt kind of weak later. But I don't know, that was kind of weird. But
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. It was an odd uh, scene with animation there.
hmm
So we see Asylum actually talk to her grandfather, and his condition has been really bad. We saw some of that in season 1, and basically by this point I believe we kind of see him die here, if I'm correct.
uh,
Or
he might have. I mean, because she did make a comment afterwards that she is, I guess, quote unquote, head of the place now or the
Mhm.
leader now. But yeah, that scene was kind of. I mean, Al knows here again. I said make a comment before. It's not really known for its emotional scenes, and this was kind of. I mean, it was still emotional because I think most people who have maybe an elderly grandfather or whatever maybe
Mhm.
have seen them have Alzheimer's or suffer like this, and this was kind of sad for that because I had personal experience like that where a grandfather or a grandpa won't doesn't really remember you, and he's
Mhm.
kind of just rambling on about something, and he remember you for a minute and forgets you, and then back and forth. But yeah, that scene was kind of it was a little sad that she had to see him off in that kind of way, that he's a wreck and he's just never gonna be back the way he used to be, and just making comments about her that he doesn't really now you've grown and all this. And but yeah, I mean, I think he died, but seeing him pass was kind of again a little sad, but again we need that kind of progression to push
Yeah.
Asylum to leader status, I guess we could call it.
Yeah, the show pretty much failed, I think, in setting a scene like that up to
Hmm.
be of the emotion Although it never really felt like it was reaching for that, I thought, whereas I've always been critical of scenes with Inaho and Yuki.
Right.
But I feel like had they established a little bit more of a relationship between Ray Regalia and Salem,
Yeah,
maybe it
that's
would have
true. Yeah.
had some impact. But I feel like this is something I'm going to repeat for these two episodes that we talk about, is that you kind of see it all coming. You see everything line up with the plot.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I would agree on that. Right now, it's very A B C D, going straight forward. Especially, yeah, I would say maybe the ending, but not right now. But I'll get to that in a soon, I guess.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of battle going on. We saw this thing with Inaho where he was kind of speaking Robo Inaho there for a little bit. And then see some stuff with Slain. And then eventually, toward the end of the episode, Slain is giving out some orders, and he's just basically telling everybody just destroy Earth and all that, and trying to get all the Orbital Knights to do his bidding. But then Salem interrupts, and she broadcasts her own message proclaiming that she wants peace with Earth, and that Klonkine is going to be her husband. And so with that, there's a little bit of a divide that kind of pops up with all the Orbital Knights about which side they should take.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. That, I like that part where he's just like, destroy the Earth, and she interrupts his broadcast. And I was just like, another FU to Slain again. He gets a lot of that. The last two episodes, a lot of like, screw you, to do his face, and that part just made me laugh. It's just because, Slane's just like, I'm this badass leader, but no, technically you're not. Salem just kind of steps on him, and she almost gains more followers through that. But I almost feel like the humans on Earth are probably like, what is this girl's deal? She tells us first she wants to destroy us, and then she tells us, maybe a month later, oh, I want peace. Like, what? What happened? Everyone on Earth is probably super confused. But, our main characters are like, we figured this out all along, and, because Slain, or Inaho said it. Even I guess the commander chick, she's like, oh, just like Slain said, and like, why are you not listening to him now? I mean, he saved your ass the whole entire series. Now you're like, you didn't trust him that one moment. So, it seemed kind of weird.
And what I did like about that scene with Salem is that Inaho and Slane's rivalry has always had a sort of indirectness to it, in that they fought once and they fight in the final episode, but this one it felt something very direct, where Salem was basically stepping to him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree.
And some extra stuff from that episode. We mentioned about Slane getting owned by Salem. That's pretty funny. And as we walk into this final episode, who's gonna die? It's a series that Urabocher started. How does it go? And we'll jump into the final episode, which was basically a lot of action, a lot of battle, a lot of CG. We see Lamrina. We kind of knew it for a while that her character really didn't amount to anything.
Right.
On some sort of even on an emotional level.
Yeah, I would say it almost feel like after they put her in the spaceship, and he tells her, tells his I guess, I don't know what you call him, maybe his servant, to take her away, and everyone leave the base. I got things to do, and it felt like at the moment when they put her on the ship, they wrote her off immediately. Right there, she's gone, because you don't see anything with her at the end. You don't even know if their ship that she was on leaves, because the next part we're going to talk about is Slane tells everyone to leave, but they kind of like, oh well, Slane's I guess it felt weird that they had a change of heart, and a bunch of the knights kind of change, and they fly towards the moon base to help Slane. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, and that's another moment in the series where I feel like there's some potential that was missed, is that as Slane was becoming more of the bad guy, there felt some sort of connection between him and Lamrina a little bit, but they never really got to it, I think.
Yeah, I would agree that if they kind of established that she was around maybe in the beginning, that maybe she was always there when Salem was there, kind of in the background. I mean, if they established that she was around before that, maybe they could have easily developed this relationship between those two characters, because
Hmm.
again, she feels very connected to him because they have similar backgrounds and all this, how they're kind of shunned on and you know, you know, tortured. Not, I don't know if she was tortured, but still, they had this connection that I felt was stronger between those two than him and Asylum at the
Yeah.
time. But like you said, they didn't really explore that very often or any at all
Hmm.
this second season, which they kind of missed on. They missed a very good opportunity.
Yeah. And also, and then for moving on from that, we have a lot of battling, some action, some pretty good action. We see Heart-like and another one of the Orbital Knights sort of pairing up with some other fighters, and they're taking on Inko and Raid and them, and business goes as usual there. And then Inaho, in his now souped up KG6, goes up against the Farsis, piloted by Slane, and we see pretty good battle. Inaho probably it's probably 70-30 in favor of Inaho in terms of dominance of that battle.
Yeah, I think it was cool that they when they were fighting, Ian Ho can't use his eye as much, and Slane can't use his overpowered monitor computer reading thing. So they actually have to fight like regular pilots was kind of cool, just seeing them two fight. And like I said, all the other guys kind of teaming up. I did think it was weird that they kind of established that a lot of people hate Slane. A lot of the knights don't like him.
Hmm.
Even the ones that are on the moon base with him kind of hated his guts. They kind of wish he wasn't there. But at the end, I thought it was weird how they changed their heart, how they wanted like again they were gonna leave, but then they came back to help them.
Hmm.
And maybe it was because they saw Slane's servant kind of almost sacrifice himself. I mean, I guess they go into this battle maybe knowing they could die. But
Hmm.
it's so weird. For the longest time, they've always established that the Martians had better tech, more power. They could dominate the humans easily. But this one kind of felt like they were scared of the humans, that the Earthlings had
Hmm.
more power this time. I guess
Yeah.
maybe it's more numbers, but still, like one of their overpowered robots could easily wipe out a fleet of the
Yeah.
Earth forces with no problem. But it seemed like now they had a problem with that. It seemed kind of weird to me.
And we've long talked about the poor performance of Earth forces
Huh.
in battles from season one, and that Inaho was the only one that could do anything. But now all of a sudden, hey, these Earth guys are pretty good. It's just messy.
Right, the Martians kind of or even made the comment that they even said that in the episode that they're not bad fighters. I'm like, the hell, you guys were dominating them for like 20,
Hmm.
23 episodes, and now you're actually recognizing them as fighters. It's like
Yeah.
really, okay,
Hmm.
well, I mean it'd be like doing a shonen series, a fighting series, and then all of a sudden now they realize that the humans are powerful. Like, okay, so that's not really
Yeah.
good writing. Shouldn't they be on par the whole time?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was just thinking about with Slane taking over how the direction of, I guess in a way, our perception of what Mars and the Martians wanted in this war against Earth, maybe it kind of changed a little bit. That um, I feel like the direction was kind of lost there, because when we saw Sawsbomb in that in season one, there was this whole thing about wanting the resources from Earth
Hmm.
and wanting to start a fight. And I feel like with Slane kind of taking control, that kind of lost focus a little bit.
Yeah, it shifted into, Slane's personal vendetta against Inaho
Hmm.
for taking the princess away from him, and that felt kind of like it wasn't really like that story was kind of shoved in. Like you
Hmm.
said, I mean, the beginning of the series was about, we're probably gonna go over the series anyway, but how they wanted the resources. There's a reason for this fight. But like you said with Slane, it's more like, you stole my girlfriend. Boo-hoo, I'm mad. I'm gonna take it out on you now.
Yeah.
And also, the next part of that would be, Slane, I guess, them falling to Earth, and Ino for some reason decides to save him. Like, why
Yeah.
are you doing this? He saves his ass, and they get to that point at the end where they're on Earth, and he's gonna shoot him, but they don't. It's just, I don't know. I think I know you can go with that right now, but that's just weird to me.
Hmm. Such a typical thing to do in anime is to
Hmm.
have the good guy save the bad guy from death, um, and then that kind of leads us also to the scene where Slane points at his head to Inaho. It's the first time they've ever seen each other in the series. Well, actually, I should take that back because they did see each other at the end of season 1.
Hmm.
But I think it's the first time that they both like get a better look at each other.
Right. And
And
I was gonna
then,
make a joke because you said seeing, because always shot him in the eye. But yeah, it was
oh yeah.
that yeah, that moment there. He's like, the helicopter's in the sky. This big like, Hollywood action movie moment where, oh, he's gonna kill the main villain. He's just like, nope.
Mhm.
I mean, I've seen that in a few movies that they've done that. Like you said, this guy's been, kind of a, I guess, dictator of Mars, and then they're like, no, it's spare him. He's gotta atone for his sins. I'm like, what has he really done? I mean, he hasn't really outright killed anyone. But again, I guess attacking Earth, that's the big
Yeah,
offense. But yeah.
I'm pretty sure people died there.
Oh yeah, they probably did in the
Uh,
background. Yeah.
and then after that, we get to I guess you could call it the epilogue of the series, where
Hmm.
we see that Salem seems to have successfully been able to garner peace with Earth, and we have that big ring there, and it seems like there's going to be some, things going on with aldnoah activation privileges. You see a lot of the characters in the series kind of like, oh yeah, they're all good now and stuff.
Yep.
And then we go to a scene where Inaho goes to the prison to talk to Slane, and nothing really comes out of the conversation.
Right. Nothing really comes out. I mean, they even say, but I think a little bit with him realizing that it wasn't that saved him, was actually a Salem who saved him. Technically, is I think what Slane kind of says to, or Inaho says to Slane, that technically a Salem saved you. She told me, yeah, she did. She told me to save you. With the robot eye, I guess, recorded that message. That's what Salem wanted. She wanted someone to save Slane because I guess she saw he was, like you said, going kind of mad with power, and it
Hmm.
went to his head, and that kind of breaks him down, but it breaks Slane down. But again, that moment was kind of like, not really feeling it. I mean, I do I felt a tiny bit for Slane, but then I was like, I remember what he did. I'm like, I don't really feel bad for this character at all. He deserves to be where he's at. But
Yeah.
even though I think me and you would probably prefer, that pulled the trigger when he caught him.
Mhm.
But I guess saving him from this, from falling into Earth's orbit, I guess maybe that should have told everyone he's gonna save him. It's like he
Mhm.
wouldn't go that far for this guy and then kill him on Earth. Like, wouldn't make sense. But
And
yeah, I mean,
also,
it's okay for the
in
end.
terms of story, if they want to do more,
Hmm.
Slane is basically. I would guess that he would still be revered by whatever orbital knights are left, even if they're um, grudgingly going along with the Salem. That
Hmm.
maybe once he gets freed, that they'll sort of join his side, and it kind of makes Slane into their mastermind of sorts.
Right. Even like the first episode, they kind of revealed that there are Martians already living on Earth at the time to set up this revenge plot against Salem. They could easily do the same thing with Slane. They could have these people, living on Earth that could sneak into the prison and save them or bring them out, like you were saying. Which
Yeah.
is something I could easily see him doing, because even with all this at the end, like you said, all the epilogue stuff, with the Aldnoah kind of being used on Earth, and she activates it, and they get this new power source, and with her on the ship talking to the Mazarak, that they're married apparently, and they really do open the door for there possibly being a third season. I mean, a lot of people probably would groan if they heard that there's
Yeah.
another season of this. I think people would probably say garbage of this,
Mhm.
but yeah, there might be a third season, and I could easily see, like you said, the plot of them saving Inaho. I keep mixing the name, but
Slane.
yeah,
Yeah.
Slane out of the prison would be an easy plot they could easily squeeze in there. And the
Mhm.
last thing I'm gonna mention, I think it's funny how they have this big glass box for this guy. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a threat, but he's not that dangerous.
Mhm.
Like we were mentioning, like a Magneto situation where they have to keep him that way because there's a reason why they keep him in that box. But this is more
Mhm.
like, oh, we're so scared of him. Like
Yeah.
he's not really that intimidating, to be
And
honest with you.
doesn't Xavier and Magneto play chess
Yeah,
also?
they do. They
Yeah,
do.
boy. There's some originality there.
In the chess game, but they even play chess. It's just like, okay, cool. Princess saved you, and you walked out.
Mhm.
That was kind of ridiculous, but
Yeah.
jeez.
So, I guess the only extra thing from this episode is that Slane got NTR'd.
He did definitely. Yep. Yeah, someone else stole your girlfriend, and to make it even worse, like it wasn't even Eno, it was someone else. So, like some new guy came out of nowhere. Oh my God, that's gotta be like the worst for him. But in the end, they kind of do some cheesy thing where he's just like smiling at the camera, like I'm gonna be
Mm.
okay. Like, oh jeez.
Yeah.
And I've seen comments people kind of doing the whole prison joke, so don't drop the soap sign and all that. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. But I'm thinking he's
Yeah.
probably in a prison by himself.
Yeah. He it looks like he's in solitary confinement. Like there's no worry to drop the soap there.
Right, he's gonna be alone for the most of the time, I think,
Yeah.
because there's no one else. They didn't capture anyone else, so I don't know. So I got your thoughts on them doing a season 3. I mean, I think we'll probably watch it because we've seen this much. But yeah, do you think they were doing another season of this?
Um, I think they want to. I remember very early on there were talks about the idea of franchising this
Hmm.
in some way. Like it seems like from the start they had high expectations for what aldnoah.zero could be. Um, so
Right.
I
Yeah.
do think that they're going to attempt to do a third season or a movie at some point, and there's enough plot points from the remainder of season 2 that could be built upon to make a new series or a new movie if they want to do that. But personally speaking, my experience of watching aldnoah.zero, especially by season 2, I feel like I'm ready to give up the series.
Hmm.
That I just felt like the writing wasn't good. I felt like I feel kind of bad for mentioning this, but kind of like the potential that I saw in the series just wasn't realized, and that the direction that season 2 took changed up what I liked about season 1, and I just don't find that these characters are very likable and that they aren't developed well enough for me to have interest to see their continued lives.
Right. Pretty much, I can agree on that. I mean, season 2 kind of shifted, like we were complaining about earlier. That season 1 was about the war and all these people being pulled in this war. All these young kids that aren't really, I guess they've been training for this, but they're
Hmm.
pulled in this war kind of early. And we had a lot of potential for characters to stand out. We had I forgot his name, but PTSD, whatever that guy.
What? Who?
The guy he had a suffering that his friend died in a tank, all that. I
Oh,
forgot.
Marito.
Yeah, Marito. I kind of wish they did more with him in season 2. They really
Hmm.
kind of didn't do much with him. They kind of fixed his problem kind of early on. Like, okay, he's fixed. All right, he's good. It's like I almost feel that they could have done more with him. They could have done stuff with his character a little bit better. But in the end, he became this just background, this regular character that was just gonna fight
Hmm.
with everyone else. And even with some of the female pilots, I mean, they had some moments where they did some cool team ups, but then they didn't really do much with them. And
Hmm.
my other complaint would be Herb Richards' involvement. It seems like he didn't really give anything for this series at all. Like I mean, he probably had generally a love for it in the beginning. He did the 3 episodes, but after that, it just seemed like he just didn't care anymore. He's just like, what, you guys do what you want with the show. I'm done.
Hmm.
And even if everybody hyping up that he's supposed to be, I think, doing this episode, I think this was supposed to be his, because it's technically the
Oh.
real final. But it's like
Hmm.
that. Even that didn't even feel like something he would do. I mean, yeah, he's known for killing the main characters off, and it just seemed like he doesn't really do that anymore with a lot of shows. He just, I think, I made a comment last time in the Skype chat about how I feel it depends on the studio he's working with, if they're gonna, give him the extra money to do something different. I think
Hmm.
Shaft and Ufotable, the only companies that I guess pay him the real amount of money to do something great with it. Other studios don't give him as much, I think, so he doesn't really care. So
Yeah.
it feels like he doesn't care about some of the shows he starts, in my opinion. But others
And
would argue that, I guess.
we talked about Gargantia
Hmm.
a while ago, like a year or so
Right. Yeah.
ago. That was a similar situation where it was a series that he started
Hmm.
and he left with the others. And I'm just kind of thinking here, like he has a style of writing and storytelling that's noticeable
Mhm.
in anime form. I think you could see that with the beginning of Gargantia
Right.
and
Yeah.
aldnoah.zero, and on a much larger scale, the entire first season of Psycho-Pass.
Right.
And that when, in all of those situations, when responsibilities for writing change, that they're trying to, that they're continuing a story and they don't go in the same direction that we're used to seeing Urobuchi go with his stories, and that they don't feel right
Definitely.
considering what we had seen in the beginning.
Yeah, I can agree on that. I always heard the thing that he's great at world building. He's great at that. He's great at doing some characters, but then when things start getting serious and dramatic, it starts to fall apart.
Oh,
And
I actually think that's I think I've heard the opposite of that
okay, yeah.
about his world building.
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess almost like anything, I guess it's up to maybe the audience to figure out, if they can see it as bad writing or this is not very good. But yeah, for me, I'll know it was just like I think we've said before a couple times that it started off being really interesting. I mean, it had me glued in the whole time, and then I think in season 2, closer to the end, maybe the middle, got really interesting when Slane started doing his sneaky stuff behind the scenes, rising to power was pretty good, and until they got to the final battle and just Slane and all that. I mean, with Inaho, just again, Inaho, I would still feel that he's probably the weakest character of the main three. Asylum, Asylum and Slane are kind of higher up on the, for me anyway, personally, because they had more of a story. Inaho didn't really have a story, in my opinion. He was just, there,
Yeah. And
yeah.
they overpowered him by giving him an eye, and when all communications had been knocked off, he was the only one that could provide any sort of communication details about that one battle.
Right. Yeah.
But in spite of how I felt about the story, there are two things that I'll take away that are very good. Of course, the music was good.
Oh yeah.
Openings and endings and the soundtrack were great. Hiroyuki Sawano did a really good job again. And the castle drops are the best thing of aldnoah.zero. How they do those scenes and show the huge explosions that they cause are incredible.
Right, yeah, animation-wise, it really is up there, and soundtrack-wise, and just that production side's nice. I think we both kind of feel agree that if the writing was a little bit better, they paid attention to some of the more characters, took the chances on some of the things like the relationship progression they could have done. Would have been nice, but yeah, in the end, I would feel it's just a typical mecha, almost, That's what I would say for that. But if I had to give it a final score, I'd probably be like maybe a 7 out of 10 or maybe a 6. I'm leaning towards more of a 7 right now.
All right. Anything else to bring up before we close out aldnoah?
Nothing much. I am curious to see if they do a season 3 or a movie or an OVA or something that kind of wraps it up officially. But for now, I think it's more of a series that I wouldn't really recommend to people that are just getting into mecha. I'd easily recommend something else.
Yeah.
Before I recommend aldnoah, but overall, it's a fun ride, but don't go in expecting a whole lot, I would say. Definitely.
Side note, Majestic Prince is a pretty decent one to recommend to start off, because it's its own series, really good action.
Right, in a series that has multiple characters, actually all of them have their moments and their screen time, and no one feels like they got pushed aside, like in aldnoah with some of the secondary characters.
Yeah, and there's a quality to the show where it doesn't. It has drama, but it never feels overly heavy.
Right. Yep. There's no surprise princess character out of nowhere, and two guys brooding against each other. Like, oh, she likes me more. No, and then they fight. All this, whatever. But yeah.
All right, so let's go on to Build Fighters.
Yeah, Build Fighters. You have 3 episodes, but for the most part, they kind of all connect to each other, except for the last episode, which we'll talk about later. But episode 23 is Build Fighter, and this one's like, I guess, Sylvester's Sphere versus I guess the main Tri-Fighters, and I think it's the final fight where they're just preparing for the final battle. So that episode was kind of more of a Yuma episode because he was kind of alone in the room after a
Yeah.
while repairing their gunpla for the final fight, doing these minor adjustments, and the adjustments kind of come in handy a little bit later. But that episode's kind of nice because it's, I guess, a chance for the characters to kind of, I guess, reflect on their progression to this point.
Yeah. It's the formula from season 1 is very similar in that episode 23 is kind of a bit of a cool down build up episode to the final battle. I enjoyed the fun that they had in season 1's build up episode. This one was kind of weird because all of a sudden just out of the blue, Yuma decides, give me all your Gundams, I'm going to work on them. And they had that scene where Raul was noticing Minato come in. He's like, oh, reinforcements. Like, oh, he actually asked for help. But then when Minato comes in, Yuma acted like he didn't know he was coming, or of course didn't want him to show up because of their rivalry for each other. So I thought it didn't make sense to me.
Right, yeah. I think it's more of like, for me, it's more like these two are rivals, but they're going to help each other out. Minato's going to, push his rivalry to the side for a bit and actually give his friend a hand here and help him. And that was kind of nice, but you said it was his prize, and it was kind of like, yeah, kind of weird that he just kind of walked in there and was like, hey, I'm going to help. And basically kicked Fumina and Sekai out, which, I mean, I'll be honest, if I had to be in a room with both of them at the same time, and I was trying to do something, productive, I'd probably kick him out too, because it's like,
yeah,
I'm trying to do something here, and Sekai is always bothering him and all this stuff, but yeah, they even go to a point where they, I guess, break down a play-by-play tape of the last fight, is Philistro Sphere, looking at the, I guess, what each other gunpla can do, and they notice the tiny repair bots that Shia has, and Fumina actually makes a comment that they're like super tiny robots that, if you look at the scale size of it, that Shia, I guess it proves that she is just this amazing builder. If she can build something that tiny, that, I wouldn't really think they could repair bots. I think that would be, in my opinion, illegal. But I guess if it's part of the Gunpla's, I guess, arsenal, I guess they can allow it. So it's kind of nice.
And that was, I assume that's something they do in the series, but they just don't show too much of actually watching game tape, so to speak, for the battles. And yeah, that was really impressive to see Shia building such very tiny little pieces that can, make up the repair bots. And I was talking to you pre-air about how I think it isn't that often in Tri-Fighters where they actually mention the process of building something like that in battle. They always talk about, like, oh man, that's like a really cool Gundam, or, SD's going into real mode or something. But that was the first time where I think they actually mentioned the building process about, using glue or whatever it was that Chia was using to make those repair bots.
Right, yeah, because they mentioned that inside the robots is like you said, glue for the repairs. So it's kind of interesting to see how they get down to the minor little tiny details like that to show you that, Chia is this awesome builder. I think, and I almost look back, I think that's the only time they've actually gone that far, like you were saying, to describe the building. I think in season 1 they kind of did more of that because they had a builder on the team, so they had to kind of give him time to show his skill besides Reggie doing his fighting, which is, I kind of wish they did it more with Tri-Fighters. But I guess since, you have 2 fighters in this series, and only one of the teams actually, well, 2 of them are actually builders, but yeah, that was kind of nice, them showing she is little repair bots. And I guess they prepare for the final round. Even the other team, even Celestial Spheres, they're updating their equipment as well. You even have Ando, I guess she told Shia to upgrade his, make it a little faster. And, I guess she does that. But yeah, like, all of them are just basically, like you said, cooldown mode. And they're just setting up for the final fight, which I was happy they kind of jumped in for a little bit. They kind of showed you the setup anyway. They had that, I guess, space there in the, I guess, the colony type of area. And they set that up, so, and that leads right into 24, which jumps right into the fight. But at the end of 23, was a doctor, I guess, comes out of nowhere and looks at, he's kind of worried about Ando's wrist. I'm like, oh, well, there's your handicap there. Someone's gonna get hurt. And he's not gonna be able to fight, and that's how they're gonna win. But but I feel they didn't really explore that in the final episode. But it's fine. I just thought it came out of nowhere. But I guess they did kind of hint that he had a problem with his hand a while back.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, as we talk about the final battle, is that it really didn't amount to anything. All it amounted to was a scene where the doctor tells him, and then Alan says, "Hey, blah 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 blah,", blah, and Saga just goes, I'm gonna fight.
It's cool, bro. I got this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was kind of funny seeing that. And I guess the last thing I mentioned from 23 was the insert song they kind of put in there. I'm not sure what it was, but it was kind of a nice song they kind of put in there. I think it's on the second OST. My brother was talking about it, but yeah, it's on there. And yeah, and then they had a bit with Sekai. I guess he felt kind of down that he wasn't able to contribute much to the repairs of his Gunpla. And he kind of has a fight with his I guess rival, not his brother, almost said his brother. But he shows him a technique. He's like, don't forget that technique. He's gonna be using it later. But he has a little moment with Shia, and I guess they kind of hit it off a little bit. So, but yeah, 23 was all right. 24 episode is Final Burst, which is the final fight between the Celestial Sphere and Tri-Fighters, which is I think 90% of the episode. It's just this battle, which is nice because I kind of wanted to see them just fight it out. And they do fight it out. I mean, it's a pretty epic fight between all the fighters. And they do the whole thing where they like doing in Gunpla, and they'll build a fight where they split everybody off into the pairs. You know, obviously Sekai is gonna fight the main guy of the team, and you know, Fumina's gonna fight Shia, and Yuma's gonna fight Ando. They've set it up for a long time, and the fights were kind of generally cool. Just seeing those two team up with Sekai kind of doing his own thing was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what I liked about with Yuma and Fumina in their battle, is that they actually teamed up to go up against Saga and Shia instead of just everybody in their own corner sort of fighting each other.
Right, yeah, definitely. And they do, because they get to the point where you think, you know, Yuma and Fumina are going to lose. I mean, they're getting dominated easily, I would say. And they get to the point where they have to actually combine their robots because they've both lost enough parts. So I guess that was the big secret reveal later on, that when Yuma was modifying all their gunpla, they actually modified it in a way that they could swap out parts between all three of the machines, which was kind of smart. If I think about it, it was kind of cool. And but yeah, the fight was generally, like I said, just an action episode for 24.
Yeah, pretty much, and it's the battle that we expected and hoped for. It was pretty good. Wilfred and Sekai, of course, was the highlight of that battle because they were the one that decided it. I was not personally a fan of the overtime rule that they came up with. It's kind of like, as a hockey fan, people have an issue with the fact that they only play a 5-minute overtime and then they go to a shootout, which basically changes up the way the game, not so much the overtime session, but the shootout session, how the game is played. And I don't like the idea that of the you did a 3-on-3 battle and now you reduce it to 1-on-1. I thought they could have found some way to maybe up the damage a little bit so that there's increased damage dealt from both sides, that maybe it could have been quicker to figure out a winner.
Yeah, definitely, I can agree on that. I mean, it was like previous fight where they, you know, you think the Tri-Fighters are going to lose. Even when they fought Minato, they got dominated, and it leads up to one final fight between two machines, which is what they did here. And at the end, I guess the final was like you said, I guess they did say in the rules before, if 2 team members are, you know, 4 of them are down, and just 2 left, they have a final one-on-1 fight. Which I guess, since, you know, Sekai, his gunpla was kind of destroyed halfway. They think of missing a leg, missing an arm. They again combined the parts from the other machines to give him one final fight, and they do this cheesy thing where all you see is Sekai kind of fly towards Wilfred, and that's where the episode kind of cuts off. Wasn't really, you know, I mean, I know the target audience isn't really for the older crowd, but it felt kind of like they just, almost like they didn't care about the final fight, and we're like, okay, we're done. They wrapped it up. Like they just wanted to wrap that fight up, get it out of the way. And it felt kind of...
It did go by a little quick. Like, as soon as they started it, they played the first opening for Tri-Fighters. So that part was a little bit disappointing, considering that the rest of the whole episode was real good. And the overall, I liked it better than the final from the first season of not Tri-Fighters, but the first season of Build Fighters.
Right.
Because that whole thing with M-Body taking over Majin was kind of disappointing because it felt like it robbed us of the pure fight between Sei and Reiji and Majin.
Right, yeah. The season 1 fight, yeah, like you said, was kind of that way. Season 2, the final fight between these two rivals, felt more, I guess, fun and more energetic. You know, both characters kind of were just doing it for fun. They weren't like, I gotta win this. Like, it's depending on them winning this. That's what I felt with season 2. Season 1, I think there's more like, they have to win this. Meiji has to win this fight to become the next Meiji. And season 2 is like, we're just doing this for fun. We don't really care if you win or lose. And that's kind of what I felt like with that episode. And I guess Dark Document 25, I guess we can all assume, you know, they did win that tournament. You know, the Tri-Fighters did win. They, you know, didn't really mention it, but they did mention it when they did this build contest. I guess that was the plot of that, this little mini episode. Almost felt like an OVA, I would say, like an extra. With all the characters kind of, you know, not in the battle scene, they're just kind of watching this.
Which is odd because they are going to do an OVA for each series.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah, that'll be kind of interesting to look forward to. But yeah, this was more of a like a building tournament where everybody's showing off their latest mechs they build and all this stuff. And I thought it was cool to go around looking at the different ones. You had like a unicorn style, which was done in like the original Gundam, kind of the same paint scheme. It's kind of cool, like that. And they had this giant mobile armor, which belonged to, I forgot his name, but
K Karima.
Yeah, they had his, which is it's huge. It's like it wouldn't even fit in a case by itself. It's kind of cool. And they had this Char Gundam. It was like done like his kind of style.
That looked really cool.
That was the best one of the you know, special side ones we saw. Then, you know, Sekai, he has a model he fixed, which he upgraded his by adding a sword, which kind of feels in my opinion, kind of dumb. You know, for the longest time he's been a melee style Gunpla. To throw a sword on it feels kind of like it kind of, you know, crapped on your suit there. It's like, oh, come on, go back to.
Because he's all about karate and martial arts.
Definitely. And so this is basically, like I said, the build fight turn. They're not really fighting. There's, I guess, the building content. Yeah, there you go.
The Majin Cup.
Right, and they had Minato. Thought he was gonna win. You know, he was keeping his Gunpla hidden from Yuma. He wanted to build this dramatic thing. I thought it was kind of silly, but they revealed it, and I've seen screenshots of it before going to the episode, so I knew what it was gonna look like. But it was just one of the most hilarious moments of the series of all the episodes. Revealing that he built a Fumina Gundam, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that was really good, and I think that's something that they're probably gonna have to sell now.
Right, yeah, and you know, Fumiya she didn't even know about it, and she sees it and she's kind of like freaked out because it's actually, you know, I don't know if people know the term Mecha Musume, which is, you know, a regular schoolgirl wearing pieces of armor. I guess Kanko is kind of like that, but yeah, they had like everything. And Minato was describing the pieces of it, saying the waist is thinner than the real Fumina. I was like, wow, this guy's so. Yeah, I guess he felt like it's got a squish feel to it, maybe like a flesh feel to it. And I was like, wow, that's a little creepy on some levels.
Yeah, it is. And at the joints, it doesn't look like it's there, and it winks, and it's really
the wink. Oh god. And then Fumiya's kind of like getting mad. I'm like, you know, and Meiji on the side is kind of like, you didn't win because you didn't ask for her permission. I'm like, what the? What is this?
Yeah. But yeah, that was really crazy how they had like you know, that Klasky particle, the stage thing. It took up the entirety of the room just so that everybody could put their Gunpla on. It felt like a battle royale. And, you know, of course it was cool when Majin shows up and then Raw comes in, and then we get a little bit of action with Lady up against the three girls. That was pretty fun. So all in all, it was just a really fun finale.
Oh yeah, it was a real great episode. You know, all of them kind of like the episode where they had this free for all in season 1 where they're all kind of fighting each other. Season 2, they're at the. I thought it was funny how the tables even turned this giant pyramid, and Meiji and Lady are kind of on top of it.
Yeah, just posing. Yeah.
I was like, wow.
So Meiji.
And yeah, the fight was kind of cool, and seeing them all kind of fight each other, and it was a little bit of like a, almost want to say, a jealousy rivalry between the women of, built fighters and going
Hmm.
after Sekai, and it's she kind of spending time with him. I guess they revealed that those two spent maybe a couple days together, and Fumina's
Yeah.
kind of mad about that, and all the girls are kind of mad about that. In fact, I guess you would say. So
Hmm.
they kind of go
Yeah.
after him, but like you said, they broke off and now there's own little fights and everything, and yeah, it's kind of a fun
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. Gyanko's almost like, if I'm gonna lose to Fumina, not you. Um,
Yeah, I guess she's good being with the second best girl, I guess maybe, in her opinion. So I guess
hmm.
she's that's fine. And but yeah, that battle royale was cool and all that, and kind of where it ends there, I guess. With them, I guess it ends with them going back to school and then kind of maybe doing the next year, which is slowly hinting at a possible season 3 or maybe just a build fight season 2. Tri fighters, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, and now Yuma's popular with the
Oh yeah,
girls.
apparently, like everyone wants them. Yeah, I did think also thought it was funny that Sekai's sister jumps in the final fight because she's like it
Yeah.
looked like fun and everyone's fighting. So, but yeah, I guess for that episode was fun. And final thoughts on
Hmm.
that series for you?
Really enjoyed it. Great battles from the team. I like the team aspect that they developed with Tri Fighters having free on free battles. It allowed kind of like different characters to take the spotlight. Not that there's a problem with Sei and Reiji. Those two are great. But I really enjoyed the battles from season 2, and that they focused a little bit more on just the whole tournament, that there was no side story going on that I kind of talked about the last time with season 1.
Right, there was no supernatural, sci-fi thing thrown in where
Yeah.
Seiji's from another dimension, where gunpla are real.
Yeah, where the Plavsky particles come
Right,
from.
yeah, they didn't do that. I agree on with that. Season 2 was just more of what I loved from season 1. Characters, it seemed like every character just has a great personality. There was no character that was kind of like, oh man, I hate this guy. Even the triplet characters were kind of funny at sometimes. They had some good moments, but yeah, overall it was a pretty good series, and I would easily recommend it to anyone who's yet to see, don't really have to see season 1 like you did. I mean, you went to this kind of new and went back to the original, which it worked for you, I guess, right?
Hmm.
Yep. And
Yep.
guess for the extras would be just some silly things. There's a lot of shipping in this series, a lot of, and especially in the end episode, every guy that's kind of like a main character, you would say, I guess has a female counterpart. Like we had Akira and Yomi together. They kind of like they're kind of maybe hitting it off after butting heads for a while in the beginning. And to my surprise, Gyanko and I guess Izuma, the boxer, their little brothers are kind
Hmm.
of hanging out, so they kind of have to hang out together as well. It makes you think that there's something between those two. I mean, they're even
Hmm.
the last 4 episodes, I would say they were kind of hanging out together a lot. So maybe it's like, it's as shipping goes, it may not be canon, but it felt like it
Hmm.
would be something between those two at least.
Yeah, that was fun. That was another funny moment from the episode when Sakaki, the younger brother, wins, and they're like, "How many siblings do they have in that family?"
That was pretty funny. Yeah, he used to talk about praising his sister and all this, and he popped
Hmm.
up, and it was pretty funny.
And then Domon
Oh
Kashu.
yeah, Domo at the end from anyone's watched Gundam enough Gundam anyway. Will know that name is from G Gundam, which is a pretty good shout out. I mean, we did see in the opening that he was hinted at being the master of the school, and now that he's kind of maybe a realistic character, it seems kind of weird that he actually exists.
Yeah, yeah, that is kind of funny in
Or
a
it's
way.
like, or is their master like a cosplayer and he cosplays as Domo?
Yeah, yeah. Also, you see Minato with the I can't remember the master's name, but Mal from season
Oh
1.
yeah, it was.
They were sitting in with him. Like that was the only time he showed up, as far as I remember.
Right, yeah, he was kind of a weird character in the first season. And
Mm.
yeah, so Domo appears at the end, and just again all of the cool looking stuff at the very end, the shout outs and hints of another season, always gets me a little excited. And again, will there be another season of this? I don't know. I still lean towards more of a movie coming out where they can have characters from season 1 and season 2 come together in this world tournament they've been hinting at, which would be interesting to see
Yeah.
if they actually go
Mhm.
through with it.
We'll get an OVA for sure.
Right, definitely.
That's official. But we'll have to see.
And I guess that's probably it. The highlights from the episode, like in 25, where the Fumina Gundam was pretty cool. Like you said, they got to build that now, sell that actually now. They probably will. I almost felt like, would that be a thing in season 2? You think maybe more Mecha Musume characters in the next season? Because they did, SD was a big thing in this season. So I'm like, would they go through that transition where they have, you can take a regular figure that you like, maybe a high school DxD figure, put some like Gundam stuff on it, and actually use that in a fight? I don't know. Seems kind of weird.
Yeah, it seems like maybe not in terms of like the champion. Like once you get to the main battles, it's not going to be like that. But maybe in some of the regionals, you might find some characters that are a little bit eccentric in that sense and want to make a Mecha Musume of something.
Right. I would say anyone that has Char, you need to nerf that. 'Cause that's too OP. If you have Akira, yes, that's too OP. So there's a lot of OP characters you couldn't really use. The seed mode and all that. But yeah, that was a pretty fun series. I liked it. I mean, I knew I was gonna like it in the beginning because again, I was a huge fan of Build Fight in the beginning. So I'm anxious to see what they do next. The OVA has me excited, but that's pretty much it for that series. I mean, I'm not sure what else to add to that.
No, just that it was good and looking forward to more.
Yeah, looking forward to more.
And I guess that's it for us for Mechanorn this season.
Yep, right. We're gonna take a break from the spring season because again, I think someone's writing about the next series coming out here soon.
Yep, Cydonia. And with only one mecha show, it's pointless to call it Mechanorn.
Right.
If it's just going to be about Cydonia.
Yeah.
And I just want to briefly mention that next season, Fosh, you're going to be doing mini talks on some shows that's still to be determined, I believe.
Right, yeah. Still on that.
And my plans are to do Metaverse Weekly, where I'll talk about different shows each week, select episodes that me and the other co-host, Fosh, will be a part of that surely at some point during the season. Try to get some of the others on the writing team on. So I'll be doing that weekly.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to being part of that and hearing what everyone else has to say, and maybe put some fresh blood and all that, and get more audio only stuff out there. I mean, I feel a lot of people don't really like that, but we're gonna try it. I mean, see what happens. You never know. Gotta experiment.
I'm gonna force it down their throats until they like it.
Pretty much. But yeah.
Or in their ear holes.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So yeah, a little sad to see Mechanorn take a break, but it's good to I tried this. I always wanted to have a mecha corner of the blog that I could talk about these mech shows. Even though we did drop one of them, Recon, that ended, but I don't think we're gonna really talk about that at all. But I guess maybe look forward to the future of maybe Gundam Origin. Those have been coming out, so maybe we'll get to those eventually, and maybe talk about maybe them all in together at once, and maybe bring in a guest. We don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Right.
But I guess for Jero and for myself, that's been Mechanorn for the summer. So see you guys whenever we get back to doing this again. Or it's actually the winter, but yeah. You know what I mean.
Yeah. See ya.